Okay, let's hope this is working. I ran into all sorts of technology things, which always happens to me when I'm rushing. Okay. Looks like we're good. All right. I'm going to wait and see who shows up. But I'll explain to you why we're even here today, and there's a couple of reasons. So, welcome. This is 42 Opinions Sumo. One of the reasons we're here is because Sumo Spiffy decided to shout us out. He did a really cool video where he spoke about the AI sumo problem, which I too have been quite annoyed by that, but I didn't have anything really to say about it besides ignoring all of those channels, which I immediately, as soon as I discovered them. Oh, we got some people coming. That means everything's working. So the Sumo Spiffy video gave me the idea to do the origin story of 42 Opinions Sumo for a big reason. We got about 40 new subscribers just from that 5-second clip. And I know that he had just sort of found us by searching Sumo podcast, which is pretty cool that we actually show up in the search. But he didn't really know too much about our channel and what we do and why we do it. So I thought, let's put the entire origin story out there just to have it. And that's why we're in the catalog of 42 Opinions. We're going to travel back into the past. Okay, let me just check on something here. Give me a moment. And yes, you did get first place. And I picked Kirishima Yusho as my backup because I was asked under pressure. So we both win Quack Kiryu if Kirishima gets the Yusho. Granted, I don't know if it counts because I've had some bad takes this tournament, but how could I possibly predict it? Oh, Bob, that stinks that you're sick. We'll take you on just an adventure through the 42 Opinions Sumo adventure. Hold on a moment. I want to test something, but I'm kind of afraid because I don't want it to pop up. Anyway, so let's go into the 42 Opinions lore. It started long ago. I would say that John and I met each other about 16 or 17 years ago through one of our mutual friend groups. So we had all these scattered friend groups that had different interests. But our common friend group is where we met. And that friend group was full of anime fans, video game fans, etc., which would explain all of our side tangents and such topics. We've been enjoying those types of things for a very long time now. Well beyond 16 years, but it's been 16 years of being in the same friend group, all enjoying it. In essence, we're a bunch of nerds, geeks, whatever, however you want to put it, but that is who we are. Me and John are nerds, okay? And like good nerds, we really, really fixate on the things that we like. So we met through mutual friends way back when, but where we really connected was through writing. Both of us are authors. And this all fits into this whole vision of 42 Opinions Sumo and why it is conducted the way that it's conducted. So anyway, fast forward. It was about 2017, I believe. Now, John and I had hung out in different, like I said, different friend groups, different periods of time. One day I happened to mention to him that I just recently got into sumo wrestling. And it was like a light bulb switched in his head. He's like, I've been watching sumo wrestling too. And so I asked John a little bit earlier today to give me sort of the origin story of how he got into sumo because I wasn't completely sure about it. But I found out a lot of things about John I didn't know. So this was kind of cool. So John, like myself, were huge baseball nerds back in the day when we were kids. Lots of reasons for that. But I was so obsessed with baseball, and it turns out so was he, that I would tape record the games. I knew all the stats of the entire team. I knew their birthdays. I knew their batting averages. I knew, what the pitching matches up, like how well they did against who. And, the third Tuesday in a month, their batting average was 348 or whatever. All of the new minutia. And apparently so did John. But what I didn't know also about John was that later on in life, he got into an MMA phase. So he was watching MMA. He was watching different martial arts tournaments and things like that, a little bit of karate combat. And he stumbled upon sumo, and it really interested him. Particularly, once again, this whole idea of being a nerd, he really loved the technical aspects of the fight. And so he really enjoyed analyzing, like, where are the openings? How do you find the openings? What happens when this technique is employed, etc., etc. But it was still sort of, sumo was a casual thing for him. He enjoyed it, but then he would forget about it. When I brought it up in that conversation, it sparked something in him. Now, me on the other hand, as soon as I like something, I don't forget about it, and it becomes the new thing. So for me, sumo, I immediately fell in love. I'm like, I'm watching this every time it's on. I'm not missing anything. I'm getting a favorite wrestler. I went completely nuts on it. So I started, because our mutual friend group was getting together on Sundays to do different things. And during tournaments, we said, all right, let's sit down and watch sumo together. So some of our other friends are martial artists, but not necessarily sumo people. And they are not always mutually exclusive. But they would come over and they would enjoy watching sumo with us. And one day I just said, we should do a podcast, because we're sitting here with all of our friends. We're analyzing all of this. We've got our favorite wrestlers. We should talk about this. But when I had this idea for a podcast, YouTube was not necessarily on my mind. I thought of like the usual podcast space. So visuals were not coming into the play right from the beginning, because the sumo footage didn't belong to us, and I didn't want to deal with copyrights, and I actually didn't know anything about the sumo YouTube space, which I would say is the biggest location for finding sumo. It was back then. It's even bigger now. I mean, we started this about 6 years ago. But we just thought we could replicate what we're doing here. Us as friends sitting down talking about sumo. And for a good year or two, we were just talking back and forth about what it would look like. What would we do? How would we format it? Blah, 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 blah. Well, then 2020 hit. And as you can see here, our first podcast was July 2020. When COVID hit and the world was shut down and everything was confusing and everything was extremely depressing, we were like, this is the time to do the podcast. It has to happen now. So that's what we did. We were like, how do we do this? So we bought microphones and we kind of set up a space, but it wasn't at the time, it was not a truly good space. So if you listen to some of these older videos here, I mean, you guys talk about the echo now. This was crazy echo because we didn't understand, because we didn't put the time into it. I mean, we're both technical people. If we had researched it more, we would have known about the sound deafening that was required. Eventually, we got the appropriate sound deafening and we got better microphones. But as you can see here, now I got to move my microphone so I could look at the screen. This is how it started. Just a splash screen here, and we talked over the whole thing. 46 views, 31 views, 18 views, 24 views. It wasn't until March of 2021 that we finally hit the podcast space, I guess. But I'll get to that. So when we started doing it, this was just a way to hang out, do something fun. Another thing about John and myself is that we can watch any sport and enjoy it. It doesn't matter the sport. Sports are just entertaining to us. So in this time of 2020, most teams were not playing for months. Sumo was the only sport on. And that was another thing that fueled my desire to just watch sumo and forget everything else, because it actually made life feel normal. Even though there was no crowd, which was incredibly strange, even when the crowd came back and they weren't loud anymore, it still felt like this one thing I didn't have to lose. This one thing was going to keep going. This one thing was strong. And it just, my attachment to sumo grew exponentially because of that time period. So, let's click on some of these videos, see if we even have comments. I don't even know if we do. Hold on. Yeah, no comment there. Let's go back to oldest. We had a couple of people. Who would put a comment here or there. And what would happen is I would reply. I was like, I'm going to reply to every single comment that we get. And all we were doing at the time was a preview show and a wrap-up show, as you can see. I guess in 2021, we must have finally hit the algorithm. And I still remember that day. John was like out with somebody and I like texted him like, you need to check the podcast. And it was incredible that we had 1,000 views. And that's where we picked up our first set of subscribers. Then it went right back to normal. Although I guess 102, 129, that's a lot better than the 18 we were getting. But then it just, it went right back to status quo. Right here, January 2022 is where we decided we should share the screen. And that was the first real revelation that changed things for us. It was like, now we at least can share these visuals. You can see the wrestlers while we're talking. You can see the matchups, etc. You see here, here's the Bonzuke, here's the matchups. This changed a lot, and I think we picked up a lot of subscribers because of that. Then one day I realized, hey, we really, really need to just start doing some thumbnails. That might make all the difference in the world. So then you can see here, I finally started doing, I don't know if these are really good thumbnails. They're just pictures from the internet, but hey, they at least draw your attention, right? But the intention all along was just for this to be a podcast. And as we spent years doing this, we realized how big how big sumo was on YouTube specifically. So it didn't make sense for us to go elsewhere. Now, here was another game changer for us. Is when we started adding the lives. Let's see when I did the first. So we attempted a January 2022 sumo live stream. And as you can see, it only got 281 views because it was crazy. We actually had people showing up to the chat. And we were trying to read the chat. We were trying to read our notes. We're like, let's never do that again. That's hard. And in the live stream space, the same thing happened. 69, 42, 39. It just wasn't picking up that much. Then all of a sudden, Kiri Bayama, okay? Kiri Bayama comes into play. 810 views on a live stream. Amazing. I have no idea why you guys were so into that particular one. It still remains one of our biggest live streams. Now, I actually had to block a lot of our live streams or unlist them because of troubles with YouTube, but that's a different topic. Anyway, so I am going to answer that question, Bob, because that is sort of included in, what's the point of 42 opinions? So anyway, what I want to say to anybody who's a new subscriber to 42 opinions, because you saw the Sumo Spiffy video, these are the reasons this is what our channel is, this is what our channel isn't, and this is the reasons why. So our channel really started off as just a preview show and a recap show because we were just sitting down watching sumo together. We basically wanted to create a podcast that was hanging out with your friends. Instead of me and John just sitting here talking about sumo with our group of friends, none of them cared, just we cared. They just liked to watch, but they weren't into the whole analysis thing. we thought we'd include anybody on the internet who was interested. And believe me, we had no big illusions that we were going to become YouTubers, that we were going to become anybody important. I still can't believe we have 1,000 subscribers. It really is insane to me. But our intention all along was just to have fun. But what we realized is people would make comments in the comments section and I would reply to them, but that wasn't real engagement. And that's when I decided to do the live streams. I literally chose to do them just so we could talk like we are here in the chat. Once we did that, then this is kind of when we bumped into Goose from Sunday Morning Sumo Show. He sent us an email. He asked if we wanted to come on the show. As you know, we were on for years doing our thing. And we gained a lot more subscribers from that, a lot more notoriety. Meanwhile, we were hitting the algorithm pretty good for a while. We are completely kicked out now. YouTube has changed a lot of the rules about what gets you into the algorithm. We're not making enough videos according to them. They took away our special features like clickable links. I think that's kind of shady to take that away of all things, but whatever. The point is, what 42 Opinions is a recap show. When early on, when we decided what kind of show we were going to do, John said we really should talk about every single wrestler. And a big part of that was what attracted John to sumo in particular was Aoyama. Here's this beast of a man who just doesn't look like anybody else. And he is aggressive and he's tough. And John was so drawn to him that that's what made him keep watching. He wanted to see what Aoyama was going to do in particular. And then it grows from there and you get other favorites. But some of our favorites were guys at the bottom of the Banzuke. And we thought to ourselves, why not talk about every single guy? Every guy's getting up there, grinding it out, working hard, has an impact in the sport, even if it's small. So we should spend time talking about every single wrestler. Hence the title 42 Opinions. It's an opinion about every single wrestler. We should be 43 opinions now because, Taka Keisho's just edged his way in. But that's a side topic. Anyway, so if you come to 42 Opinions, what you will get is a preview show talking about all 42 guys, talking about maybe the training that we've read about, articles we've read, injury reports, sometimes the little things you hear on the internet that may or may not be true, and we always say whether we think it's true or not. And then the live streams are a second week thing so that I can interact with the people, and they're literally just so we can talk sumo and talk to each other. And after we've talked the day's worth of sumo, we usually descend into some side topic. Anime, video games, sometimes the Roman Empire comes up. And then I try to do special live streams in the in-between weeks to do, we were watching some sumo videos together, which was cool, but that's where we got one of our first copyright strikes, which I didn't think was fair, but doesn't seem right to, seems like too much of a hassle to fight the copyright strike. So we'll bring those back again, now that I'm pretty confident I know what the issue was. Then we do video game streams too, just for the sake of having a reason to talk. 42 Opinions is really about the subscribers. What do they want to talk about? What do they want to, how do they interpret sumo? And that's what we exist in this space. There's so many videos, or there's so many channels with excellent videos, shorts, timely topics, well-edited footage, analysis and parts of matches, etc. That's never going to be us because the copyright stuff is just too time consuming, and we're doing our best just to come on when sumo's on. It's quite a big commitment. And going back to what I was saying before about us being authors, a lot of the work, you don't see it on the visual here. You see it in what we're saying. The notes take days and days and days to write. Watching sumo is no longer a short thing because you might have to watch a match 2 or 3 times over to get your notes right, to really understand how did that guy win, how did that guy lose, then sort of form your thoughts on where you think this might be going. And that's really where John and I excel, is in the writing, in the analysis, and just being friends who've known each other a long time and are trying to share our love of sumo with other people. And it turns out many of you guys are probably nerds too, so that helps a lot. In terms of martial arts in general, I guess I'm a little bit of a martial arts nerd too. I started training in Taekwondo about 20 years ago. Then I gave it up for various reasons. And then only about 3 years ago did I join up with a formal karate school. And now I've been very dedicated to it. I definitely think I enjoy sumo a lot more. I know that, karate, sparring, and sumo are completely different, because I'm not going to get... sumo was one of the most brutal martial arts I've ever seen. I have no desire to understand sumo in a physical way. But through actually training in martial arts, doing sparring, I appreciate sumo a lot more, because there's just things I understand that I couldn't in the same way if I wasn't on my own journey to improve myself and my technique and go through the highs and lows of, making these great strides 1 minute and the next minute just feeling like the absolute trash, like the worst person that ever stepped in there. I guess it's just the way it goes. But anyway, so that's kind of our origin story. I'm going to answer this question here, and then, you guys can ask whatever questions. I do have sumo notes for the day, and I left them upstairs, so I might have to, walk away for a second. But let me get into these comments. Hakaku's screaming into a pillow right now. Hakaku's livid. We have to talk about Hoshiryu tonight. You guys, if you know me well enough, and most of you do, you know where I'm at. I actually skipped a couple comments. Some great matches day one. I can't stick around, but I'll catch the video much later from Ohio. Thank you from Ohio. I don't know how to exactly read your name, so we'll call you Copa. That's what we're going to call you, Copa. Everyone has nicknames around here. H. Tim says golf, and I don't know what you're referring to, H. Tim. So Bob says, did the martial arts interest come first or the Dragon Ball interest? Martial arts interest came first. I'm trying to think back to the early days, but I have liked martial arts a very, very long time. I'm thinking maybe something like Power Rangers when I was a kid. That's one memory I have, but it might be even earlier than that. Power Rangers just solidified, I want to do that. Then my dad was a big WWF fan, and that's what we did. Our family ordered the pay-per-views, and we got all invested, and I was a kid, so I thought it was all real. I still remember crying when my favorite guy lost or whatever, and my brother whispering in my ear, it's fake, right? And I'm like, what? No, it's not fake. I don't believe it. I was really little, so I don't know if WWF was the first thing that drew me into the idea of fighting in the first place, and then all this other stuff. But I've liked martial arts a very long time. And so then, of course, that actually led into anime. And the majority of the animes that I got into were shonen, were fighting. I was all about the fights and the storylines connected to it. How was my Mother's Day? My Mother's Day was good, but it was, kind of like every day in a way. I don't insist upon anything special. It's just, for me, it's just another day. I was excited about sumo, and then Hoshiryu crushed all of my hopes and dreams, and I did spend a section of the day sad. Not gonna lie. Have you seen Enho's matches this Basho? I have, and I have notes for Enho. So, do we think we can save this? We can sit down and watch any sport, or however you said it. Oh, golf. Yeah, I could watch golf. I don't know that I would become like a big golf fanatic, but I could sit down and watch golf, especially socially. If there was some golf fans, I'd be like, all right, sit down and teach it to me. But I'm not a big golf person. Hello, Mitch. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I just gave the origin story of 42 Opinions Sumo. Oh, I should preface it with another point here. The reason the podcast did not start off. Let's go back to the oldest here. So I guess its original runtime was like 140, 135. When did it first get like ridiculous? Here's a 2-hour. Okay, it first got ridiculous in 2021 with 3 hours and 14 minutes. It simply became that long because we learned so much more about the wrestlers. Because we insist upon talking about all 42, if something really big happens for a guy, we're going to talk it out until we feel like we're done. Meanwhile, we're learning more and more about each wrestler as they come up. And so when we first started, what did we know? We knew like what their records were. That was about it. So that is why the podcast is 2 or 3 hours. Spiffy basically said, it depends on how much sumo content you want. If you want to sit and listen to a 2 or 3 hour show, it's not about content. It's which wrestlers do you want to hear about? And when I'm really good about the timestamps, I think we get more views because people want to hear about their certain guys and then they're done. You might not want to hear about, Maegashira 8, but you might want to hear about Maegashira 14 if he's a hot new prospect. So that is why they're as long as they are. Okay, I actually have my sumo notes for the day. So unless you guys have any other questions about the origin story of 42 Opinions, we're going to go over today's day, and then there's going to be a Hoshori rant. I know you guys come for the rants. That's why I'm here. Anyway, yes, Enho, I have watched his last 2 days. So today he fought Hakuyozan. For a man who just learned to walk again, I am incredibly amazed how mobile and aggressive he is so far. I was not expecting this. I thought that I didn't expect a 2-0 start. I thought that he would be kind of limping along. And the reason I say for a man who just learned to walk is I just read the big long interview with him. It's a translation, of course, but I'm going to believe it. I'm going to believe that everything I read in there is what Enho said. When he did get the neck injury, the initial really bad impact where he was out, he could not walk. And his parents were scared for him, and he had to learn to walk again. And then he learns to walk again, and then he has to learn to train again. And it wasn't like he could just go back to where he was. It was like the most basic of basic, can I do it? And he'd have to sort of extend how long he can do it. I didn't think there was any chance in the world that he would be in decent shape. I'm like, if he can produce the miracle of making it back to Jurio, I don't even see him competing. And here he is acting like he was never out. I don't know what I'm watching. I am simultaneously super, super impressed and blown away and terrified. And you got to read that article. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what Enho's been through and the fact that he won't quit. It's an extreme risk, but there's a reason why he was such a popular guy. I'm going to go back to our popular videos. You guys don't want to see this. Yeah, another thing is that YouTube essentially thinks that we're AI too or something. I don't know. They really are giving us a hard time, but that's aside. Anyway, so Wakanosho versus Fuji Ryoga. So I saw shades of Takekeisho in Wakanosho Sumo. That parry on the side, I'm like, that is classic Takekeisho. But Fuji Ryoga, man, he just read the angle exactly perfect. And the way he hit him, he just crashed him down. I saw later on that he had done an interview and he was ready for the parry. He actually studied quite well. He knew what he was going to get with Wakanosho, and he executed. Wakanosho is the only thing keeping me going in this tournament. My heart is smashed into a million pieces about Hoshoryu, which I will go into more detail. But I have Wakanosho. He has to carry my hopes and dreams on his back. Now, I did link in the post section the Sumo Primetime video before they took it away from me. That link actually works. They have a nice little interview with Minato Gawa and Wakanosho together. So watch it if you want to see sort of Minato Gawa's philosophy. It's amazing. The man's has a brilliant sumo mind, and he's so good at communicating the point. I want to put all my hopes into his wrestlers, so we'll see what happens. So I think it's time to be worried about Tamawashi. That leg is really taped up. He had no real ability to resist. When you're this close, when you're 41, and now it's been several tournaments in a row where he can't get his style of sumo. He can't get anything going. It's time to be concerned. It's not one of those false concerns like, oh, he's old, he can't do it. No, if he sees that it's not going to work, the retirement thoughts are going to pop into his head. It's not going to be worth it after a while. So we're getting close, guys. Just keep an eye on Tamawashi. Koto Eho versus Shishi. And I did see a nice funny comment in there. I will get to the comments after I get through my spiel. By the way, like I said, any new people who are listening to us, when I do one of these live streams, I just make a note of the day's events. I go through all my notes, and then I read every single comment until you guys, send me into midnight. Let's not go that late, but sometimes it goes that late. Anyway, Koto Eho versus Shishi. So Shishi's footwork is really stable. That's the one thing that he's got that seems to be stable. But here was a battle of he had the underarm grip. In Koto Eho, he had that Mawashi like he wasn't letting go. That was a superb throw. I'm a huge fan of the throw. And so I got to give it to Koto Eho. I have good feeling that, I don't know, he's going to be spurred on. He's just getting a little bit better and better. I was hoping that Koto Shoho would be sort of a positive feedback loop with him, but we'll see. We'll see. Asanoyama versus Hakano Fuji. So very strong Tachiai from Hakano Fuji. The match was it was a little bit of a dud because Asanoyama, if he's pushed back, he just, he's got extra armor on that knee now. It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted Asanoyama to be able to resist a little bit. I wanted a battle in the center of the ring, and it was just one of those, really strong Tachiai, push until you knock the knee backwards. So I don't think we're going to get from Asanoyama what we had hoped, but that was always on the table as a possibility. So Abi versus Asakuryu. Once again, I told you I love the throw. That was a beautiful Shatenage for the poor grieving son. I talked about this in the preview show, but only in the chat. But Asakuryu lost his mother right before the last tournament. He didn't say anything about it during the tournament, so nobody knew until it was over. But she was very involved in him and his brother's sumo career. It mattered a lot to her. So he is fighting with everything he has for the sake of his mom. It's a beautiful thing. And now Asakuryu gets jumped right up there in top 3. I already liked him when he came up, but now, top 3 on my list. We got Hoshoryu, we got Wakanosho, we got Asakuryu. If you've got that heart that Asakuryu has, plus that I love small man sumo, I'm telling you, Asakuryu is just amazing. But Abi, Abi's looking physically better. He's looking a lot better than I expected. We'll see how things go, though. I mean, with cervical spine issues, elbow issues, Abi's career is in a little bit of danger here. So the Chirana Umi versus Chiyoshoma match, I was just amazed. I don't know if it's because Chiyoshoma is just a little bit smaller. He's not that small. But Chirana Umi just looked like a tank, man. He looked like a tank. He just bowled him over. I was very impressed. It'll be interesting to see how week 2 goes, because that's when Chirana Umi just starts to lose steam, because he's older. He's like 32, I think. But I do enjoy his sumo. So Shodai versus Fuji Seiyun. Shodai almost decided to give in at the edge, but Fuji Seiyun gave him such an opening that it would just be silly if Shodai didn't try a little bit. So I'm going to say Shodai reluctantly wins by Katatsukashi, but he really wasn't in the mood. Hello, JJ. What's up? And don't worry, guys. I see all your comments. I'll get to them. I'll get through my spiel here. Daisho versus Wakamoto Haru. So slowly but surely, Daisho's looking a little bit stronger. I don't know how far up how much of a return we're going to get, because we've discussed this before, that he lost a lot with that injury, but he was looking a lot better. I'm wondering if he looks that good on day 2, if he's going to have a superb week 2. And then this tournament gets interesting because, as we've kind of discussed, it's wide open. Keep your eye on Daisho. Just keep an eye on him. Wakamoto Haru, he's just beat up. That's all I can say. Oho versus Gonoyama. So the way that Gonoyama fell in the center was just strange. It felt like he was falling in slow motion. So he was either really overpowered by Oho, or there was a slight slip as well. And he followed his master Shodai spectacularly, and just wins because it was the thing that made sense. He has truly perfected the I'm bored victory pose. So once again, Oho wins, but it doesn't say much to me. Stay tuned. Keep in mind, I don't normally do a day 2 live stream for a reason, because so much changes. These are just initial thoughts. Takayasu versus Ichi Yamamoto. I gotta say, I was very impressed, and I love the spirit of the attack by Ichi Yamamoto. But let's be honest, Takayasu is not playing around this tournament. We're not going to speak about specifics, but let's just say that he smells his chance. There's a chance to have a really good tournament. Wink, wink. Especially after schooling Hoshuri on the first day. That is enough momentum. As long as the back doesn't go crazy. Keep an eye on Takayasu. Atami Fuji versus Hiraumi. Hiraumi lifts up Atami's center of gravity and overpowers him. Atami Fuji looking to be losing a little steam already. Once again, day 2. You can't say too much on day 2, which is why I don't ignore all of this analysis. It's just gut feeling in the moment. But he's already looking a lot less Genki, as they say. Now, we do know that he struggles with reoccurring things like diabetes and cellulitis and stuff like that. He could be having an off blood sugar day, and maybe it just all corrects itself tomorrow. But I wasn't expecting him to lose that match. Then Takanosho versus Koto Shoho. So Takanosho's looking really sharp. His pushes were crisp. This was sort of the way of Takanosho when he was consistent Sanyaku man. I think he actually surprised Koto Shoho a little bit. He just seemed off guard. Koto Shoho is in his whole trying to prove himself stage. That his Yusho wasn't just a one-time thing. So maybe he's a little bit over-exuberant, and we'll have to see how the rest of it plays out. I will not speak about Hoshuri just yet. I save him for last. Koto Zakura versus Wakataka Kage. Okay, so Waka does not give up when he's going after Kotozakura. He's a pretty aggressive, like, shift around, push different angles, put all of his effort into it. Kotozakura only has so much resistance in those knees. So he has to win kind of quick. And it didn't seem like he did too much. He was in too much of a defensive mode of almost like gonna tire Wakataka Kage out or find the opening. It just didn't work out for him. Sometimes it works for him. He's a massive man to push around. Maybe it would work with a Fuji no Kawa, but Wakataka Kage is really, really gritty. I mean, he's beat up, and he just wants to win. And then Kirishima versus Yoshino Fuji. Kirishima looks very confident. It was interesting that he continued to go after the arm after the initial sort of grabbing at it, but he's patient. Kirishima's very patient, and it's like he knows he can win. So he just waited it out until the perfect opportunity. Yoshino Fuji's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not sporadic. He's a little hectic. He's got so much energy, and he's gonna win. You can see it. He's got so much determination that it works against him. Almost a very similar thing to Hoshoryu, but, a little bit different. Hoshoryu's, well, let's talk about Hoshoryu. And then I can read all of these millions of comments here. What did I think with Hoshoryu? And I had thoughts. So he does the stare down with Takayasu. This has happened before. Hoshoryu has done the stare down with many people, even before he was Yokozuna. Kind of his thing. A lot of times with Gonoyama. It's really, really tough because he's trying to prove himself as Yokozuna. And let's face it, if Takayasu didn't have back problems, he'd be Yokozuna. He has never given up the Ozeki aura, ever. He's a big, strong dude who punishes his opponents when he's doing well and can outfox you when he's being patient. And so he's an incredibly difficult opponent no matter who you are. It's just that he's older now and the injuries have taken their toll on his body, and so he can't win consistently, but he's a nightmare for Hoshoryu. Back in the day, he was a nightmare for Takakeisho. We'd always talk about the slow walk with Takayasu. He would put the slow walk in Takakeisho. So, how the roles have reversed. Anyway, just put yourself in Hoshoryu's place for a second. You've got the whole world criticizing you. Okay, you've got Hakaku, you've got your uncle. Your uncle was criticizing you when you were Maegashira 15. That you didn't get to Yokozuna fast enough. And you're sort of, you're a super analytical guy. You overthink things too much. You get too emotional. You get too exuberant. And everybody's got advice on how you should improve your sumo. And if you just did this, then you would be worthy. And we know this. We know this from the top down to the wonderful commenters that I see everywhere, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's everywhere. Some of the nonsense that I've read just kills me. So you have all that pressure on you, and now all of a sudden, Onosato's out. Aonishiki's out. More pressure, because you should win this thing. You should already be winning these things as a Yokozuna. You're already not living up to the hype. But now your biggest obstacles are out. You better win this thing. So you do the stare down with Takayasu, a beast of a man who, if anything, you just fired him up more because it's day one. So he's not hurting yet. He's the strongest he's going to be on day one. And he is not impressed and he is not amused. And I mean, he looked prepared for everything Hoshoryu was going to do. And then the way he was pushing down on him, it was kind of like, just give it up, kid. If Hoshoryu, and here's Hoshoryu, he puts all of this, he makes a big emphasis on the stare down and being the Yokozuna. He just can't give up his pride to let Takayasu push him down. If he lets him do it, then he's an embarrassment because Takayasu manhandled him, and he's got to walk away with his tail between his legs. But if he does what he did, it's a hamstring tear. And now all that hard work that he's put in, and all of his hopes and all of his dreams and all of the excitement about how well training was going, it's all done. It's the most cruel and unfortunate thing that is just the reality of sumo or any combat sport, but especially sumo, because sumo is particularly violent. He tried to big dog a big dog, and he paid for it in the absolute worst way possible. I think injury is the worst thing that can happen to you. If you get embarrassed, whatever, people are going to talk crap about him no matter what he does. Getting injured that's got to be the thing you work the hardest to avoid. So I think it was a pretty big mistake on his part. One that has got to be incredibly painful in every way possible. I mean, he's got to be devastated. But this is also how you learn and how you grow. If he can overcome this, maybe this is the thing to propel him. But it's quite a thing to overcome because he is already Yokozuna, which means if he can't come back in a certain period of time, his career is done. Yeah. So I'm gutted because I had a lot of hopes and dreams for him this tournament. Whether he won the Yusho or not, I knew he was going to do good. You know, for all of the negativity that people throw his way, he is one of the most exciting wrestlers in the tournament. And it's just not going to be as quality without him. Everybody knows it. So they can laugh, they can joke, they can make fun of him, they can get mad at him, they can say he's not worthy, but the truth is the tournament's just not nearly as entertaining without him. And it's just a darn shame. And my final point on this, and then I'm going to read all these comments because there's some really good comments here. What this comes down to is, do you like Hoshoryu or do you hate Hoshoryu? And that's what it's always been about. I've seen some comments like coming after Hoshoryu fans for being too supportive of him, which is the most nonsensical thing I've ever read. Oh, it's so painful for them to like Hoshoryu, they should give it up. No. Life is infinitely better when you love and support rather than tear down and be negative. I don't think anybody, there might be some people, but I don't think there's anybody, not me anyway, that is worshiping him or saying he's better than he is. We just see really good quality sumo, a guy who's trying really, really hard, who's getting his face pushed into the dirt, and we want the best for him. We want good things to happen. We're not saying they're going to. We desperately want them to. And you know what? If it's painful, it's painful. I'm a Takakeisho fan. I've been through it before. I've had to have the angry fights online about Takakeisho. I've had my heart broken by injuries, by missed Yokozuna runs. Yeah. I just didn't think it was going to happen again. I thought this time when I picked Hoshoryu, I'd have less pain, and somehow I have more pain. Okay, rant over. Time to read the comments, because that's what we're all here for. Okay. I gotta go way up. You guys just started flooding the comment section. Okay. Mitch showed up, and he said he'll watch the highlights later. Micah Share 8 is always the most interesting rank. I actually think we made a whole spiel about that. So, you know, I stand corrected. Micah Share 8 is amazing. Especially for Guess the Bonsuke. Which I forgot to mention. Guess the Bonsuke is another thing we do. We are not spiffy, though. We are silly Guess the Bonsuke, but our subscribers are the biggest source of our knowledge. We basically let them do a lot of it. We fight them only occasionally. Just relearned how to walk and still manages to make it look more coordinated than Shishi. It's true. Truth is truth. I think Hachikoshi is very much within the realm of possibility for Enho. It certainly looks like it. I mean, 2 convincing wins in a row. Week 1, when you have the most energy. I hope we don't wind up with a 7 and 8. I think we're looking good for an 8 and 7, but we'll see. Kitty looking real good to go back to back, still early, but he showed so much swag to end his Yoshi fight. As long as Kirishima stays healthy, it really seems like it's his tournament to win. Now, somebody could surprise us because you got a lot of hot shots, a lot of up and comers that this is their chance. And you don't count out Takayasu. Don't count out Daisho. But Daisho and Kirishima have an interesting history in this whole, their playoff where Kirishima took it. Maybe Daisho wants some revenge. I still am not completely convinced that Daisho is up to that kind of quality, but I don't want to rule him out yet. Kirishima has really been pulling sumo. He's winning, but that's not the uninjured Kirishima sumo that I know. Well, don't forget that Kirishima had a neck injury, and those things don't go away. So he might have had to adjust. But he's better on the back foot than most guys. It's not the ideal thing, but Kirishima's quite gifted in the reaction and defensive style. Bob agrees. This is a clear path for Kitty. He's the one who gets all the pressure now. It's like, if you don't win, you suck. But he's probably just happy to be back. I want to see a match that Kirishima doesn't win by pulling, and I will be convinced about Kirishima. It's only day 2. Just keep that in mind. Let's be honest here. Anyone that's a pupil of Takakeisho isn't going to know what to do with a Mawashi other than how to put one on. Very good point. I mean, Takakeisho made it very clear that he's trying to raise up the first ever, pusher, thruster, Yokozuna. So that's going to be the focus. I've been very impressed with Shishi's opponents. He isn't looking bad, but Koto Eho and Kimbozan fought very well. They really did. The thing about Shishi is, he's still, as we know, awkward, green. People are starting to I think there was a little bit of trouble just reading what he was going to do. And while he would leave openings, they weren't always easy to exploit because of his massive size, or just his footwork is pretty good. But people are taking it to him so far this tournament. It's bad. I'm worried Tamaoshi won't get the 6 he needs to avoid demotion. Yeah, I think he's pretty hurt. If he looks that bad on day 2, I could see I don't know if it would happen this way, and I hope it wouldn't, but I could see a retirement in the middle of the tournament. I'm with you on Tamawashi. He just looks like he has no lower body, no drive, no power, really looking like every bit of 41. Well, when you get to be 41 and you get a serious injury, you're just not going to recover. Not quickly. And so it really is a time game after a while, because if you hit a certain rank, that's it. You're going to be down to Juryo if you keep losing. You just don't have the time to recover. I mean, he could possibly go into Juryo and come back, but I don't know. What's motivating him to keep going is the question. I don't know how, but I've forgotten about Hakuno Fuji. When he went, I'm like, who is that? Hakuno Fuji. Oh, it's the name change. When he was Ochiai and Haku Oho, it really is the name change. Hakuno Fuji just sounds like, who is this guy? I was crushed. I felt like everything was going Hoshoryu's way. Both his rivals were out. He looked good in practice, and he switched to the black, which I thought signified Hoshoryu Yusho. Just like I said, just think about how crushed this guy is. I wouldn't be too shocked if, he cried. I mean, I didn't cry, but I felt a tightness in my chest that I couldn't easily get past. It's like, I don't know. He's 26. It's got to feel like the end of the world, because everything is sumo right now. Whereas you got Takayasu, who's 35 years old, and while sumo is still very important to him, there's a big difference in life experience between 35 and 26. And that's why Takayasu can just school these guys. He just knows how to be, he's a man fighting a boy, it felt like. And I'm not trying to insult Hoshoryu, but Takayasu's not the one, man. You have to respect your elders in this case. A galaxy far away. How did you feel about Wakanosho's fights? Don't you think he looks strong for a Shin Maegashira? Absolutely. A lot of times when guys first come up, they're a little tentative. Wakanosho kind of looks like he's been here for a while. I'm sure that's because of Takakesho. Like I said, I watched the interview. Basically, what he said, what Minato Gawa said was, as long as he's fighting his style of sumo, if he loses, he's just not ready for the top division and will deal with it. He's drilled in him. These are the fundamentals. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to watch. And I think this is proof that Minato Gawa is an excellent coach. That Wakanosho was so prepared so far. Now, the loss today, they're going to go back and look at it, and we'll see what happens. I hope that doesn't become a habit. But we'll see. Like I said, Fuji Ryoga was prepared for him. I agree. Asakura looks really good. Fujinokawa has also been looking good. Small boys represent. Every day I get more and more impressed by Fujinokawa. I don't even know. Oh, I didn't say anything about him because he was supposed to be Hoshoryu's opponent today. And I thought, man, there's another reason to be sad. We just lost out on an awesome match. That would have been an awesome match. Oh, it is pain. I feel pain. Can't go there. But Fujinokawa looked great on day one. I'm impressed that he has that much energy and ability to keep going. If that's something that he can, I think about stamina a lot because my stamina stinks when I'm fighting. Somebody who can keep going like that really can be successful. It's all about how much you have in the gas tank. If you can keep moving and keep changing the angles and keep exploiting, you're going to beat guys that are way, way bigger than you. Way more than you would expect. The only thing I get concerned about is injuries. I said hello to JJ. I think the strength is their monster, but the experience is a little lacking. I'm guessing you're talking about Wakanosho. As soon as I saw Hoshoryu in the Black Moashi, I actually thought he was going to start blasting people out and proving Hakaku wrong because switching to black signifies a change and hunger for success. I have to say this. It was painful, but I went back and I watched the live because I wanted to see how bad Hoshoryu was hurt. This is before I got the official report. They were walking him out and he stopped them and he went back to the ring to bow. And it's such a small thing. But he really is trying to prove that he has the Yokozuna spirit, that he'll fight on no matter what. And it was still there, even in this desperate moment where everything had gone wrong, it was still there. And that meant something to me. The fans clapped. The fans were impressed by it as well. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to keep trying. But injuries are the worst. Shodai, JJ, and Bob are talking about culinary stuff. Buldak noodles, which I have no idea what those are. But anyway, Shodai is like Maegashira 10 level, but he's Ozeki level on the Tawada. Yeah, he's quite skilled on the edge. To the point where, like, if he feels like giving up, it's over, but he can really fight if he wants to put the effort in. Talk about small. Midori won on day one. Wasn't sure he'd even be able to go. It's none of my business, but I'd really be curious what the official diagnosis to Midori Fuji is, because if it really is congestive heart failure, that's hard to fight with a condition like that. I mean, there's no cure for that. Usually you get congestive heart failure way later in life, and it does shorten your life. So I hope that's not his official diagnosis, because I'd be a little concerned. Just realized Midori and Enho won't fight this time. No small boy matchup. Yep, no small boy matchup. I have 0 points in Kachi Clash. I did not do Kachi Clash this time, but I did Jason, and I'm sure it's not good. Because, of course, I picked Hoshoryu. I should just never pick Hoshoryu for anything. The pain is too great. Mr. J-Wags pointed out that every fourth Basho Oho pops off, but it would be just like Oho to have a Met Basho this time. I'm sorry, but I put no faith in Oho. He is Shodai's apprentice, and that means you can expect absolutely no consistency. Shodai winning today with the world's most lackadaisical katatsukashi ever. Yeah, that's why I went in my little spiel where it was like he reluctantly won. It almost didn't look like a katatsukashi. Hakaku said Takanosho is a contender for the title after his day 2 win. Discuss. So on one hand, I don't criticize Hakaku as much about his sumo opinions because he was a Yokozuna and I'm a nobody. But that's a strange... I feel like that's reaching. It's almost like he's trying to manifest that to be real. Because, yeah, Takanosho did look great, but Takanosho hasn't been consistent in years at this point. Week 2 is where he gets gassed out. I think Hakaku is desperate for some sort of like, I predicted it. Nobody expected it. You know, just something to grasp on because he must be seething about Hoshoryu. We'll be getting all kinds of like blasting Hoshoryu at the end of this. Takanosho is so streaky. If he wins his next 3 or 4, I can see it. Mitch thinks Hakaku is just drunk. Well, I'll say this. Maybe, just maybe, everyone's just so impressed by Minato Gawa that they think Takanosho is going to, come back from the brink of defeat. Granted, Hakaku had absolutely nothing good to say about Takakeisho in his day. You got to talk about criticisms. He put Takakeisho through the ringer way more than Hoshoryu. And truthfully, if I were him, I'd probably be drinking as well. Yokozuna 1 month before a foreign field trip. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Is Hoshoryu even going to be able to go? Are we going to have any Yokozuna in Paris? Maybe they shouldn't let Hoshoryu fight Takayasu before Paris. Ichi Yamamoto has brought the fire in his first 2. Keep an eye on Ichi Yamamoto. John has him on the radar as well. Just let's see what kind of tournament he has. I really don't know why Hoshoryu keeps doing this with Takayasu. At this point, I think they kind of have the bit scripted. I don't know. There's just things I wouldn't do. And I wouldn't do what Hoshoryu did in that situation. Easier said than done with not panicking in the moment. Resisting is what your reflexes will tell you to do. True, but don't they in sumo train to kind of go against the reflexes to not get hurt? I know we dedicate certain training days in the dojo to that. Like how to fall, how to not like put your wrists down, etc. And you see this with Ura when he does his flips so that he doesn't get hurt. So while I agree with you, I just feel like he should have known. But I don't know. I wasn't in the ring. Maybe he was like trapped and he couldn't change his positioning at all. I prefer to be the great fence sitter on all things, including Hoshoryu. Mitch, it's an incredible thing because there are very few fence sitters about Hoshoryu. He's either beloved or he is despised. To the point where people, fight the fans fight each other. It's insane. Even though Kirishima was the only Sanyaku that looked strong, the match quality was also as good as it gets. Don't doom on the Basho too early. A surprise Yusho winner could still be an exciting story. I'm not dooming. When I say that my hopes and dreams are on Wakanosho, it's not because I'm like, this Basho is over, it's terrible. It's just, I got to get over the initial pain and then find my new excitement. I'm sure this tournament's going to be exciting because we have no idea who's going to win. People that keep switching to new hotness will never understand how great it will feel when Hoshoryu gets that Yusho. Yeah, it takes a certain type of person to hang in there with somebody who's struggling. Now, Takayasu fans are still waiting. So we'll see. I hope good things for almost everyone except Tobizaru, that is. Well, you'll probably get your wish with Tobizaru because he's definitely on his way out the door. All I know is pain, a Hoshoryu fan. Yeah, yep. But you know what? That's, like I said, being a Taki Keisho fan is worse because we were on the edge of him getting Yokozuna promotion at least twice. And then injury. So we never got that glorious moment of Yokozuna promotion. Granted, Hoshoryu got nothing but criticized from that moment on. So, I don't know. It is mostly pain being a Hoshoryu fan. Isn't Toby 2-0? He might be storming back to his pre-injury form. Yeah, he's pretty low down, though, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. At least there's a strong chance it'll be better than the last boss show by the end. Man, last one was a snoozer. Unless Kirishima goes on some sort of tear and dominates. H. Tim likes Toby. Bob agrees with Monster. Tobizaru is suddenly doing Yotsu now, the classic next step on the veteran Fade arc. He did look good in the 2 matches, though. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You don't want to show the Fade, but in his case, he needs to just do what it takes to win. Nishikigi looks like he injured something. He really has nothing left. Wouldn't be surprised to see an Intai announcement this year. Yeah, I'm surprised he's still fighting now. Like I said, these guys have certain motivations for staying in, so you never know what's going to be the final, like, okay, that's it, I'm done. We knew with Taki Keisho. We absolutely knew that if he lost Ozeki, he was retiring. But guys like Nishikigi who hang on this long, who knows? If Takayasu can't win this Yusho after unintentionally injuring my favorite in Hoshoryu, I'll be even more pissed. This is his last chance, point blank, period. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Maybe Takayasu just needs to win this thing to right the wrongs. It's like, if you win the whole thing, then I'll accept Hoshoryu's crushing defeat. What happens if I click on it? Okay, good. It doesn't pop up. I'm looking at JJ's video. Maybe if it'll load. Why is it like doing that to me? YouTube. Ugh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on here? What is going on here? Oh, it's changing everything on me. Hold on. Oh my. Okay. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I might not be able to watch this now. What is it doing? Oh. I'm confused, guys. I need to get back to where I was so I can actually view what's going on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Give me a moment on that, JJ. I will watch it when it stops hating me. Okay. I've got like some crazy video up now. Forgive me, everyone. Okay. I think we're back. Okay. I'm going to check that at JJ before the end of the thing. On day 1, Tobizaru just stood there and took Roga's charge. Maybe an insight into why Roga has hit his ceiling. Roga is for sure hit his ceiling. No, his footwork is not good, Maria. What are you talking about? Are we talking about Shishi? I think Shishi's footwork is actually pretty good. You could be. I could be wrong. I'm not a sumo guy like you, but I think his sumo. Well, I'll put it this way: his footwork is stable. But maybe that's, you're talking about him being good in the scramble. Maybe that's what I'm noticing, is that in the scramble, he's not stumbling all over the place. But maybe he's completely out of position. But it's stable. I guess that's the best way I can put it. He's not tripping all over like it feels like he should be. So it's like his feet are actually stuck to the ground. But maybe he's completely out of position all the time. Give me your thoughts on it. Why is he good in the scramble? True JJ, Shishi is the real Lord of Chaos. Oldest Kachi Koshi record world. Keep him going if he thinks he's capable of being re-promoted, I assume. Mitch just sent me the Kabu thingy he was talking about. Oh, yeah, on one of the community posts. Okay. Can we see it? Nope. Which community post? You have to tell me. Okay. Minato Gawa has officially scattered his first new Rikishi, by the way. The stable's one foreigner slot from Mongolia, as you might expect. I heard rumblings of this. Smart move to get somebody from Mongolia. That's for sure. Oho is my dark horse. I never pick Sanyaku for my dark horse. Hey, Oho could surprise us. We've seen him do phenomenally well and then just sort of give up. So maybe this is his tournament. Remember when Demon Kaka predicted Takanosha would be his next Ozeki? It's always him with stuff like this. I do remember that, actually. That prediction is quite off. JJ, thoughts on Ichi Yamamoto this basho? He's been hitting off the Tachi much stronger than before. His aggression was great last night. Takayasu just had an awesome parry. Takayasu, for sure, just sort of waited it out. He, against Hoshoryu, he just manhandled him. And against Ichi Yamamoto, he just kind of sat back and waited for his moment. When can I finally boot Tobizaru off the Banzuke? I'm going to have an absolute party on the Guess the Banzuke stream. We'll have a mariachi band and everything. Perhaps this tournament, but I don't know. He's winning right now. Ura has been unremarkable at best, this basho said. What the hell did you do? And it's just a link, haha. Why didn't you just copy and paste it in the browser? Because I was trying to play it in the Discord, but it wouldn't let me, so I'll copy the link. Fine. What's up with all the trash talk to me, huh? Yeah, if Goose copyright strikes me, our channel's probably gone, so don't give him any ideas. And if our channel's gone, we're just gone. I don't think we'll be coming back.
I still don't understand why they did this with Abi. It's like they made such a good Banzuke finally, and this is the one thing that doesn't make sense. What I wouldn't give to have just been in the room when they made this thing.
Abi should go to M9.
Are you fucking? You should have seen.
That is pretty darn accurate. It's pretty darn accurate. I love it. The boldest claim of all, if Takayasu doesn't win this show, I think he should retire. Wow. Ibito Shoryu doesn't have to face Awanishi Hirono Satos if he doesn't win this one with the easiest. I know you're upset, but that's not going to work. Schedule ever, then he won't get it. He's just getting older and more hurt. Hey, he's still doing great. I mean, he's 35 years old and he is beating the best of the best. So I know you're upset, but Takayasu's got plenty of time. I mean, you basically got it. Shishi's consistently out of position, but somehow he makes it work for him. Yeah, he's definitely always out of position, but like I said, you can't just push the guy over. And that might just be his size. But I'm always looking at his feet, and they feel glued to the ground, unlike someone, say, Ichi Yamamoto, where they're, in his bad days, they're flying. Abi, flying in the air. They're on their toes at some point. Shishi's feet never seem to leave the ground unless they throw his big self. Mitch sent it by email. Okay. I will be looking at that. Counterpoint. Takayasu makes good money sticking around. Don't forget about that. Info from Hiro Morita. Oshama has been doing badly lately because of herniation in his lower back. Ooh. Well, that explains it. Takayasu is Shodai of the second week. Not always. It really depends on if the back stays together. But a lot of times, all of a sudden you see this sort of droopy, depressed look. And he easily goes down and you're like, oh, well, that's it. This is over for him. Sumo has a lot of badly aged takes for sure. It's just so unpredictable 90% of the time. If you think you can predict Sumo, you're just full of yourself. I mean, we sit there and we make these predictions, but all it takes is like a guy stubbing his toe on the way to the Kokugikan and everything changes. It's a lot like life, right? There's the things we want to do, and then the plans just, the rug gets pulled out from under us. I never expect to be right about anything. JJ owns the footage. Okay, so we're not getting a copyright strike. JJ better not copyright strike us. That looks about right. Wow, JJ, how did you sneak a camera into the Bonsuke committee room? He's good. With Hoshiryu out, Tobizaru finally gets his Yusho. I don't know about that. Because I was in the room. I'm part of the conspiracy, y'all. All this time, it was JJ. I should have seen it coming. I swear to the Almighty, if Tobizaru wins a Yusho, I don't know what my response will be, but I'll be extremely angry. And then we have a party for that, too. Because really angry Mitch would be hilarious. The real answer is that me and a friend are making a documentary about the Rollertown Showdown. We've got about 1 terabyte of footage. That's really cool. Are you going to put it on your channel? That's pretty cool. That was a funny scene. That was pretty excellently done. Only predictable thing I can think of is Teru getting Yokozuna. In that time that he rose up from the bottom, I remember people I started watching Sumo after he dropped. I remember very early on people talking about Teru no Fuji in the 5th division. Teru no Fuji's in the 4th division. Teru no Fuji's in the 3rd division. And we never watched. But we knew that this guy was a big deal. So when he finally came up to the top division and he just cleaned house, it was the most certain thing you've ever seen that he would be Yokozuna. And how he just expertly gets himself up to Ozeki, has that nice, beautiful in time rivalry with Takakeisho, and then leapfrogs over him to Yokozuna, and 10 Yusho in that short period of time. The reality of Teru no Fuji is actually pretty incredible. To fall all the way down like that, to be in such a wreck. It's not what people do. They don't come back and become Yokozuna. They just don't do it. So Enho, I'm not saying he's becoming Yokozuna, but Enho's return has a similar feeling of people don't do this. It's very, very rare. But yes, in that time, Teru getting Yokozuna was a foregone conclusion. It made perfect sense. And he was the dominant guy that you expect when you say someone's a Yokozuna. If only he had had more time. We could really be having a good time right now. Enho's new Mawashi has a great color on it, doesn't it? I don't know that I noticed what color it was. Bull claimed Takayasu is in week 1 and Shodai fighting a Yokozuna are the most dangerous in the top division. Yeah. And Takayasu's lower back is Shodai. That's a perfect statement right there. We're planning on making this feature-length documentary, but we're going to try and release it in festivals in the U.S., focused on festivals in Texas and Canada. We also want to do a theatrical screening. That is pretty awesome because you get to mix your love of sumo and all of your technical background and create something really incredible. I wish you the best of luck with this, and I definitely want to see it. That's pretty awesome. If it was in a theater near me, I would watch it, JJ. But that's probably going to be us renting a theater for a day. Once all of that happens, we're released simultaneously on Sunday Morning Sumo Show in the Dallas Sumo Club. This is a pretty awesome project that you're embarking on. Enho with the lavender mawashi like Asanoyama used to have. Okay. Maybe I did see that and I forgot. Because it's like coming into my head now. Now I need to look at Mitch's email. It's not popping up on your guys' thing, is it? Nope. Okay. We're going to check Mitch's email and read some Kabu stuff. Actually, I shouldn't do it on here. I should open a new browser that won't show up in... I gotta move it. Here it is. Sumo Kabu. Oh man, this is pretty intense. Okay, so the colors represent age. So gotta figure out who's available for Enho when the time comes. Unless they find a way to, like, screw him out of it. We were spoiled by the days of Hakuho, Kakuryu, and Terunofuji, at least by comparison. I don't know what is usual for Yokozuna historically, but Onosato and Hoshoryu have certainly been a lot more troubled. Unfortunately, this is the truth. We're never going to get that kind of era again. We're only going to get Onosatos and Hoshoryus, I think. If we get another guy in the vein of those guys, and don't forget about Hadama Fuji, he was pretty good. Asashoryu, if he didn't get himself kicked out. The training is just not the same. The world is not the same. The focus is not. Everything is so different. We're not going to get a guy like that again. We're going to get Hoshoryus and Onosatos. Unless you have an extreme rare talent who has an old school way about him. I just think that Onosato and Hoshoryu are a reflection of the times. Really skilled guys in their way, but just not durable. And make, kind of unfocused mistakes. Keep in mind, like, back in these other guys' day, and Hakuho, Kakuryu, and Terunofuji were the last of that generation, okay? So we wouldn't even say this is perfect. They were doing a lot of stuff. They were living a different life. I mean, when they were getting injuries, how were they treating it? They don't even have the same rules anymore. You have the match fixing. I'm not trying to say that any of those guys are a part of it, but just the whole sumo landscape has changed in every way possible. I expect more Onosatos and Hoshoryus long after they're gone. Aonishiki, if he makes it to Yokozuna, I still haven't lost faith in him, but his injury... Speaking of which, we were talking about Hoshoryu. Being a Hoshoryu fan is pain. Being an Onosato fan is pain. Being an Aonishiki fan is pain. Being a Kotozakura fan is pain. It's all pain. We're all suffering. Shodai, anytime there's a decent financial opportunity is the most dangerous thing. Agreed. If you tell Shodai you win this match and we'll give you $20,000, he's probably going to win the match. If you get to fight Takayasu in week 2, where Shodai and Mig Maegashira is basically a few cent if you hit them hard and low. Yeah. This is true. Even a Takayasu who's in prime shape, you just hit him the right way and that back tightens up, it's over. We went from extreme outlier times with Hakuho to extreme outlier times with Hoshi and Onosato. Having 2 young but hurt Yokozuna is not normal, historically speaking. No, this is going to be the new way, I think. Unless, some of the up-and-coming guys will learn. But, maybe this is a little bit on the Oyakata as well. I mean, Kisano Sato, I feel like he should know better. But he's a younger coach. He's not a long-time experienced coach. Hoshuryu's coach, I don't know how long he's been a coach. So maybe there's a little bit of that too. The Oyakata's not focusing enough on how to stay healthy. Mind you, none of this Kabu stuff is written in stone anywhere. It's just my ramblings and theorizings. Well, I love it, actually. So it looks like the ones most likely to come up are Tetsuo. Let me see how you have this. It's the Irumagawa Tetsuo. He's 65 plus years old. We've got Kasugano. I did know that he was closer to retiring. Fujigane has a little bit more time. Sakaigawa. He's in the 63 to 64. Tokiwayama. Now, Tokiwayama, I was going to say, I think that one's supposed to go to Takanosho. I think. That's word on the street. Kumagaitani, Shiratama, Minezake, Hanakago. These are all within a year, I think. Jinmaku, Miyagino. I did know that he was coming up. But right now, Miyagino is the former Isegahama. Tamagaki. We got Takashima, Kagi Mayama, Tatsutayama, Michinoku. I think Takakiso had Michinoku first, didn't he? And Nakagawa. Well, I'm gonna keep this list to see, what's the deal. We can update. Oh, I'm sure you'll update yours to like who gets whose. Chiyoshima and Ryuden are two more guys who have zero presence this basho. Ryuden, I don't know how he keeps hanging around, quite frankly. Chiyoshima is, he's going for that same Tamawashi Fountain of Youth situation. That's too doomering. There's got to be another great Yokozuna eventually, but I agree the world is culturally pretty soft right now, so it is less likely. Hoshuryu's injury has Maria declaring the end times. No, Hoshuryu's injury is not what's having me declare the end times. I'm just seeing a lot of stuff change very quickly. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It does if I sit around and analyze it, but I'm just like, wow, the world is so different from when I grew up. And maybe everybody's felt that in their time. I mean, there's been great technological advances in different periods of time in the world, but it did also really change the world and change the people. So I wouldn't say it's doomering. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying we won't get another great Yokozuna. I'm just saying they're going to be closer to Hoshuryu and Onosato skill-wise. Maybe not the injuries. I just don't see another Hakuho coming anytime soon. That's why Mongolians are so successful. They have a tough life before coming to Japan, except Teru, from what I hear, he had a pretty good life before coming over. I think that's the key, and that's why I had a lot of faith in Aonishiki. But injuries are injuries. But Aonishiki, he comes from a different mindset with everything going on in his home. I think you need to be tough as nails if you want to be a great Yokozuna. You can't have it too soft or too easy. That's just what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It is an opinion show after all. Let's remember, though, that Teru as Yokozuna was domination every third tournament and sitting out all or most of the two in between. Terunofuji was a monster of a man. We know that is not the case for Onosato and certainly not Hoshuryu. Now, the only one close physically in our current crop would be Kotozakura. And his knees are busted up, but Terunofuji found a way through it. And I don't know if that's the tough as nails thing that I'm talking about. I don't know how the man managed to do what he did. I definitely wouldn't mind Hoshino Sato sitting out and coming back every third basho. We might be there already. People always say Kisano Sato should know better because of his history, but it could be argued the history combined with what we already know of Onosato should just make you more worried. It's a fair point. I don't know why I was thinking it would go any differently. A little overshadowed piece of news is Mita coming back in Sandame. I've heard people talking about it. People are pretty pumped about it. I just never get to see Sandame, so I haven't said much about it. Back in the Hakuho times, people were worried when fighting Yokozuna. They would get intimidated, but now they feel confident when fighting Yokozuna, which is a factor. Yeah, because for better or for worse, we've talked about both sides of Hakuho. Hakuho was a beast of a man who was going to do whatever it took to win. And people were okay with it. These days, if Hoshoryu looks at somebody cross-eyed, it's like, he's a bad guy. He's trying to hurt his opponent. So even like the fans are soft too. It's what it is. I'm not trying to put a value judgment on it. I just think it's softer times, more distracted times. Hakuho was a skinny little dude who his oyakata said, you can be the hairdresser. You're never going to get big enough to be a wrestler. He had to work hard, and they were hazed back then. They were treated horribly. So if you survived, get it through the hazing and gaining the weight, you were already way tougher than some of these other guys. Am I advocating for that? No. I think it's horrible. But does it change who Hakuho is if he's not, going through obstacle after obstacle and have to work harder than everybody and constantly being told you suck? He's not Hakuho if he doesn't go through all of that. Onosato did not go through that. There's no way. He shot up so quick that even if he went through a little bit of rough times, it was nothing like what Hakuho went through. Hoshoryu, I don't know. I really don't know. It took him a lot longer. His uncle was blasting him so much that he stopped taking his calls, according to interviews and things like that. So he was getting it at home a little bit, but probably still nobody had to work as hard as Hakuho did. If you want to have nice things, you got to work hard. Period. You've got to be challenged. You've got to suffer and struggle, as much as that sucks. If Kisano Sato learned nothing from his injury, that is indeed very scary for Onosato. Yeah, Onosato's career could be over. The third page is most of the actual theorizing. Oh, okay, I didn't look at that. Oh, this is pretty intense. Oh, I was right about Toki Wayama supposedly going to Takanosho. That's the only one I heard of. I'll take a look at this in a little bit. Okay. Takakeisho had the right mindset to be that Yokozuna, but just slipped out of his hands. For Yusho, even in his state, who knows how many would have got if he got the rope. Yeah, Takakeisho was old school like these guys. He just physically was done. So that's why we have to hope that old school mindset he can impart on his wrestlers without, while taking it into the new world. Onosato had the aura. I think he's lost a lot of it. Because Onosato had it good. He's a strong guy, a talented guy, obviously, to rise up as fast as he did. But the obstacles he faced, the ones he's now facing, are the type that are hard to overcome. And there was no, little intermediate ones in between. Michinoku was Kirishima's former stable master before transferring to Kakuryu's stable. Okay, I knew it was familiar to me. Also, part of the reason why the Yokozuna back in the Hakuho time didn't give out as many Kimboshi is because there were so many Ozeki and other Sanyaku they had to fight. Yeah, they only had to fight a couple Sanyaku. It's been a long time since we've had 6 Ozeki or anything like that. So yeah, the top was the top. I'll update somewhat sporadically, maybe sometime after this Basho and then Nagoya Banzuke is out. Yeah, well, I want to look this thing over on my own before I go into it too much, and then we can talk about it in the second week. Compared to Hoshiryu having to fight at least 8 Maegashira, Ryuden will power back up once he hits Juryo, and Shioshoma is still due his 8th win. Yeah, those guys keep kicking around. Maria, sorry for being that guy, but the internet has made people my age too soft. Listen, I'm that girl. I think the internet was a mistake. People can't handle it. With that said, here I have a show on the internet, so I'm, reaping the benefits of the internet. It has some very good positives, but yeah, the internet wasn't good for humanity. It ruined us. So I'm an even bigger doomer than you. It's made almost everyone too soft. Well, I'll tell you this, it keeps us distracted. We don't focus nearly as much as people before the internet. Now, I grew up before the internet, and then the internet came into my life as an older person, like a teenager. But long gone are the days where you have nothing to do and you're bored. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to practice reps over and over and over again. Now it's like I have to force myself to do it because I want to check my phone, because I want to check my YouTube page, because I want to check my computer. And it's always in the back of your mind. Oh, I should. It's like a quick little, it's fun to check the internet. And meanwhile, you lose an hour of time checking the internet. The temptation wasn't even there in the day. You spent your time on the things that you had to spend your time on. It's too big of a temptation for humanity. Hanamafuji and Kakuryu used to lose more than 50% of their Maegashira matches, and sometimes all of them because they only had to fight 3 or 4 Maegashira. That's a good point. It was very top heavy in the older times. Losing my comments. I love that video with Hakuho and Asashuri you shared in the post. Yeah, I wanted to see something in the preview show, but it just didn't fit. I love that conversation. You can say whatever you want about their personalities, but those two men are real, true fighters with a fighter mentality that's going on even now when they're not in the ring. Hakuho is still fighting to have the things he wants. Asashuri is still passionate about sumo being a certain way. And you feel the elder statesmanship when you listen to them talk and like them reliving their battles in like a friendly way, considering that when you watch those old fights, there was no friendship there. Those two hated each other, but it was real good for the sport. Now they can sit back and enjoy each other and appreciate each other, and it's kind of nice. Ryuden back in Juryo in July, back in Makuuchi in September. Sounds about right for him. Hosh had trouble in sumo life because expectations were so high. Hakuho had trouble in sumo life because expectations were so low. Yeah, think about Hoshiryu. He came in as Asashoryu's nephew in a time where we didn't really have a lot of good prospects. We knew we were running out of time with Yokozuna. From the moment he stepped into, Juryo, I'd say, it was, when are you going to get to Ozeki? He just comes in having that pressure on him. And he took a long time compared to, the prodigies. And then he took a long time at Ozeki. And then he gets his Yokozuna promotion. It's not good enough. Nothing is ever going to be good enough. I feel bad for him. Some people have fun, like, ha ha ha, Hoshiryu's a jerk, even though you don't know him. So he deserves all the suffering in the world. I feel bad for him. He came in almost like sumo royalty, and he hadn't even fought a top division match yet. And it's like, if you don't do well, then you suck. I hope he's getting some support, because he's going to get a lot of backlash. There's a quote that states, if you get what you want without working for it or earning or grinding for it, then you will be weak because you have never done something that has strengthened you. Yeah, it's like iron sharpens iron. I know it's so cliche, but it's the truth. If you want to be a hard, tough beast of a man like Asashuryu, you have to live a hard, tough life. And you have to ask yourself, what do you want? Like, we enjoy watching these guys be tough and strong and beat each other up. But do we want to live like they live? No, I don't. Do we want to put on them, this is how you should live? Like, in the world we live in now, nobody wants to live hard like that unless you really, really desire glory. And that's what Hakuho wanted, glory. And I think the expectations were low of him in Japan, but the expectations were huge in Mongolia because his dad was an Olympic medal winner in wrestling. And in Mongolia, that's a tiny country that doesn't often get representation on the international stage. His dad was like a hero. So he wanted to go to Japan and be a hero, and he was a nothing when he showed up. What he had to work through to be the greatest of all time. That will make you the greatest of all time. You either fail spectacularly and go home, or you become the great one. Only through the most suffering and struggle will that happen. That is very true. Hakuho exceeded everyone's expectations while Hoshoryu can't meet anyone's, which takes a huge toll on the mental side. Yeah. Hoshoryu I can't imagine what's going through his mind right now. The crushing devastation mentally, plus you're in horrible pain on top of it all. He's either going to come out of this the beast that everybody wants to see, or it's over. It's all or nothing. It's a really hard, cruel world, especially in sumo. I'm not going to give my kids internet access. Smart move. Start off with, don't give them cell phones. Do not give them cell phones. They can have ones that call. Don't give them internet on their cell phones. Feeling accomplished versus feeling disappointed in yourself. Yeah. I give Hoshoryu credit for bouncing back time after time with all of the negativity surrounding him. Like I said, this is it. This is the challenge we've been talking about. If he overcomes this, then maybe he'll finally become the Yokozuna he wants to be. If not, it's over and everything that everybody said was right. Same. If I ever get kids, they aren't getting any phones for a long time. Tell them they can have phones when they're 18. I used to beg my parents for a phone, but looking back, thank God they didn't listen to me. Yeah. Listen, adults can't handle phones. Kids certainly cannot. It's way too much temptation, and it's not fair to them to give them such a temptation. Tough times make tough people. Tough people make easy times. Easy times make soft people. Soft people. I'll tell you guys another story. You want to hear another story? It's probably getting pretty late. Let's see. What time is it? Okay, it's 11:30. I'll tell you a quick story about my martial arts life. So in my 20s, there are various reasons, but I didn't feel like I could join a traditional martial arts school, but I wanted to learn really, really bad. So, yeah, like I was saying, we had groups of friends. In one of my groups, there were a couple of martial artists. One was just so good. Wow. He was just so good. And his martial arts specialty was Taekwondo. So I asked him, can we just do private training? So he agreed to it, but to do that, like, we don't have space or anything, so we had to find places to train. So we trained in garages, we trained outside, we trained in gyms, we trained wherever we could find space. And sure, we did all the stretches and the drills and stuff, but every single session ended with sparring. Which I found out that not everybody does that. Well, he insisted upon full gear, like chest protectors and everything. so that we could really hit each other. And he was really, really good. And I'm sure he held back. I'm sure. But boy, it didn't feel like it. The speed with which he came at me, the heft of the kicks. His kicks were spectacular. I still think about that poisonous back kick. Whew. But anyway, one time I moved out of position and he kicked me, like the chest protector moved up and he kicked me like so hard in the stomach without any protection. It felt like what I imagine a baseball bat being swung by a professional baseball player would feel like. And it hurt. It really, really hurt. And I dropped to the ground. But you know what? I got right back up and we kept going. And to this day, when I spar, I'm kind of like Kenichi, okay? At least Kenichi when he starts off. I really don't. I am not talented in martial arts, but I can take a hit. And I think it was all the conditioning from him just insisting that sparring was so important. Like it toughened me up. I'm pretty tough. I can take a lot of hits. I can get punched in the face, etc. and still keep going. That would not have happened if he wasn't tough on me. So, anyway, short story. Make tough times. It's a cycle. And please tell me you watch Fearin'. So, I didn't, but hear me out. Because I have it queued up to watch for the second week. This is an unplanned live stream. So, it's in the queue. I'm watching it so we can talk about it next week. Because that was my original plan. So, don't give up hope. Yes, Big M, you have to tell Hob that you watched Fearin'. By next week, I will. Whether you have or not, just lie to him. You're telling me to lie to him. JJ watched it. Good. I miss sparring. Wish I kept doing Taekwondo. Taekwondo is fun. I do karate now. And I wouldn't say karate is not fun. But, I don't know. It's different. It's similar, but it's different. It's a lot more... I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. They're just very different. But Taekwondo is fun. Kenichi is goated anime. It is. It's one of my favorites of all time. Top 5. That was a good story. Good. I'm glad you liked that story. I've been thinking back on it now because, man, I feel like I'm a technical mess sometimes. But I really appreciate all the hard work that he put into those training sessions because I learned how to fight. I don't have the most beautiful kicks. He has beautiful kicks. But I learned how to fight. Haha, I've only seen 5 episodes of the new season of Fearin'. I haven't even watched the first season yet, so I'm working on it. Yes, did you finish Apothecary Diaries? How was season 2? The ending was spectacular of season 2. Wow. Now I'm like dying to see season 3. The ending was awesome of season 2, so I recommend. I haven't watched Fearin' season 2. Is the whole season out? I think it is. I love fighting and training in Taekwondo. I think another reason I love Taekwondo so much was that I was much younger then. So, like, it was just, yeah, let's go. Let's have fun. You know, and now I'm older and I'm like, all right, this is going to hurt. Like, we were doing, we were trying to improve our kicks today by doing slow, methodical kicks. And I'm like, this hurts. I don't want to hurt. And I don't remember hurting like that when I was doing Taekwondo. So it has a nice memory of a time when I was younger. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. The whole season is out because I was looking at it so I could watch it so we could talk about it next week, Bob. I'm sorry. But at least you get an extra unplanned live stream. I just didn't like Apothecary Diaries just because I didn't really like the characters. I understand that. The characters are very a certain way. But the plot is... I typically care about characters way more than plot. But the intricacies of this plot, I really, really enjoy. And I can look past the characters not being awesome. Because how everything ties together is pretty entertaining. I was taught Taekwondo by a retired police officer, so you bet he was tough on us. Oh, yeah. Well, I remember one time in our makeshift sparring lesson, so I had two teachers. Both were black belts. One was like closer to my height, and the other one was like 6'4". And so sparring with both of them sucked because you think I was getting any hits in. I was quote unquote a white belt, but not a nothing because it wasn't a traditional school. I had absolutely no experience and I was sparring with these guys. So like the really tall guy would just bop me on the head and then laugh about it. And I'm like, great. And then every once in a while we would get a guest to come in and spar with us, like one of their friends who hadn't done it in a while. And I'd be like, yes, finally, it'll be okay. Because I enjoyed it, but I also dreaded fighting them because I'm like, I'm just going to get my ass kicked. Why am I doing this again? But then I'd make some incremental improvements and get excited. Bob, that resonates with me, and mine was a Korean War vet from Korea. Yeah, you got beat up. You got beat up, Joe. I'm sorry for you. Goodness sakes, Joe. If I messed up even the smallest thing, it was... Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that was part of why I didn't join a traditional school way back when, because I'm like, I suck. I want to like get decent before I try school. So that's why I thought private lessons would be good. I think I'm way better now, even though I took like a huge break. But in the moment, I was like, what was I thinking? Yeah, I don't know the legality, but my class would get hit with a belt all the time. Belt's character, he also would spar with us and just destroy us. Well, back in the day, that was the way. And even my friend who, was teaching me, definitely he talked about that kind of stuff going on. I have not experienced any of that. If anything, you get stuck doing more push-ups or something like that. I loved it. I got really good. I fought all over the world, trained in Korea with the Korean national team. That is pretty cool, Joe. I'm not fighting you, that's for sure. I take Shinai over a belt. What is that the bamboo? Is that what that was? The bamboo stick? A belt definitely hurts. I wonder if Hoshuri was going to come back in Nagoya on the Black Moashi. Like I said, his final act before coming out was to walk back without anybody helping him and do the bow. And obviously he was hurt enough that he needed the wheelchair. So if it's possible, he's going to come back with the same exact swagger and he's going to piss everybody off all over again. The black moashi is too overused, probably my least favorite color, but I'm a contrarian by nature, so take that as you will. This black moashi might be too painful to wear. He'll need a new black moashi, that's for sure. I would suggest it. I would highly suggest it. But hey, if he takes it off, then he's admitting that he got embarrassed. He's got to keep going on with it. Personally, I love the black moashi. I prefer the black moashi. So I was excited. Yeah, Shania is the bamboo sword. Yes, that is the kind of thing that my friend spoke about. The bamboo sword. I have never had to deal with such things, thankfully. He'll probably retire it. It could be considered bad luck, yeah. Yeah, that particular one is bad luck, but that doesn't mean he needs to get rid of the black. But he might. I missed the red, actually. Hoshiryu in the red, that was perfect. But red doesn't work as Yokozuna. You're supposed to wear the light colors, I guess. You guys kept me on here a long time tonight. I hope the stories were good. I hope you guys understand a little bit more about 42 Opinions Sumo, what we are, what we aren't. We're never going to be high visual art. We're just going to be about the community. Hang out with us, talk to us, send us comments. YouTube hates us. If we ever disappear, I apologize. I hope we don't disappear. I'm not necessarily in any danger right now, But they've definitely been sending us emails and giving us crap about not making enough videos, basically. So that's another reason to make this video. I exist. We're here. Okay? Go back to the red or blue host, please. It looks so much better and less boring. I like the blue, too. If you were getting hit, it's because he saw a promise in you. He did it because he loved us. Yeah, it's a different style. You know, not style. It's a different way of thinking, you know, in Korea, in Japan, than it is here. I mean, I actually think the worst thing that happens to me at the dojo is if I get ignored. Because that means you just, like, if you're not being criticized or you're not, there's not always a lot of good job. But criticism means they're watching you and they're trying to help you improve, and they'll come over and they'll say, hey, do this. If they say nothing, you know, it kind of sucks. It's like, I guess I really do nothing to stand out in any way. Better to have criticism than nothing, I guess. Enho threw away his cotton mawashi, so if he goes Makikoshi, I think his retirement is guaranteed. We're going to just take it one day at a time with Enho. Have you thought about doing Spotify? Most sumo podcasters are bigger on Spotify than YouTube. I could, but here's the problem. How would we interact? I'm literally only on YouTube so I can, like, talk to you guys in the chat. I'm not. Here's another thing. Okay? We aren't doing this to become big. We're not doing this to get fans. We're doing this to have fun and hang out. So as long as YouTube doesn't get rid of us, we can stay small. That's fine. I have no need to be, neither of us have any need to be famous or cool or whatever. We just want to hang out and have fun. So I'd go to Spotify if we could chat. I'm only on YouTube for chatting. The sumo analysis you get for everything is unmatched except for technical match analysis. I love talking here. Yeah, John is really the technical guy. He loves the technicals. He could really get into it with you guys. You know, I like talking about, it's not that I couldn't do technicals, it's that my interest level is just on who is this sumo wrestler? What does his fighting style say about him as a person? And or I like rivalries, stuff like that. It's the author in me. You can't take it out of me. All I hear you say, North America is too soft, and I agree. Hey, you know, it is what it is. You were top tier for interacting with the community. Nobody interacts as much as you, not even close. That is what I can bring to the sumo community. I can talk to you guys. We can go back and forth. You can tell me I'm stupid and my opinions suck. At the same time, we can have fun and joke and do our thing. I'll never be the spiffies of the world. I will never be the Sunday morning sumo shows of the world. I will never be Grand Sumo Breakdown or any. It's just, I am who I am. I'm a writer. I'm a nerd. And I like people. And I like sumo. And I like the sumo wrestlers as people. And I like fighting. I like the color from Mawashi, but a Yokozuna and anything but black just looks wrong. Agreed. I like Kitano Omi is blue and Wajiman is gold, and Akebono and Musashi Maru rarely wore black, if I remember correctly. I think that is true. Did they actually wear yellow? You're a writer. It makes sense that you're into the stories of the Rikishi. I can turn every single thing in the world into a story. So, like, when I see the sumo wrestlers, I'm literally thinking about them as people. And then the fighting is there, but them as people is, like, the most important focus. And John is the technical guy. John loves analyzing technique. That is who he is. I was like, John, can you just, like, whisper in my ear when I'm sparring so that I'll get better? I need John to be my coach. But anyway, Yes, who we are is, you're not going to get your visuals here. You're going to be able to chat in the chat. And if you don't like that, or if you think I'm stupid and my opinions suck, that's cool. You got hundreds of channels now. When we did this 6 years ago, there wasn't nearly what there is now. Sumo has hit some sort of fever pitch. And there's just channel after channel after channel, and, plenty to consume if you think we suck around here. But nowhere else has all the stories about the salarymen and where they're headed. If you're a fan of any not so popular wrestler, this is the show to watch. Exactly. We could take the lowest man on the Banzuke and talk about him for 5.5 minutes. If he has anything that we can talk about. We might have, like in the case of Wakanosho, I could go on and on and on. I don't know much about his sumo at all, but I know his coach. I'm into sumo and arm wrestling. That's about it. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a cool combination. Well, obviously, at least you enjoyed doing martial arts yourself as well. You forgot one thing, what you have that no one else has. The plug. I've been very negligent in the plug lately. So I suppose that means it's time to do the plug. Joe, I don't know if you've ever heard it, but here it comes. Mitch hates the plug. I'm so sorry, Mitch. You might even be gone by now, for all I know. Okay, guys. So, we've been sitting here for, over 2 hours, I think. And it's getting super late. So, it's time for the infamous, the glorious, the wonderful plug. If you like listening to rambling for 2 to 3 hours or more, then you need to come to the greatest sumo podcast on the internet, 42 Opinions Sumo. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You should be scared, Joe. They forced me into this voice. I've done so many other voices, and this is the one they like. I don't know why. I just give the people what they want. My high school students always want to arm wrestle. I like arm wrestling, but I'm not that good at it. But I do like it. I like to surprise people because I'm way stronger than I look. All right. What do we got here? I got a Kabu spreadsheet. I've got this screen that hasn't moved in a while. Let's move it. Video officially liked. That's the former voice actress doing the heavy lifting. Valley Girl voice forever. Totally. A Valley Girl forever. That was one of my first voices. And then I expanded. I probably have about maybe 6 or 7 good ones. And then there's all the ones you experiment with. I dated a woman with a Valley Girl voice. It doesn't bother me. I tried to do a Southern accent once. People didn't think it was Southern enough. I'm afraid to try that one ever again. All right, guys. This is officially the end. I hope everyone hates on this video, but whatever. Just joking. I appreciate the subscriptions on the side of the screen only being sumo channels. Most of the subscriptions are sumo channels. One of these, Stay Wild Reacts. I did not subscribe to them. That must be a children thing. I don't know. There might be some subscriptions in here that are not mine. But whatever. Wait until Joe hears about Bug Zero. The lore in this channel. The lore in this channel goes deep. There's a lot of lore. Once again, we're authors. We create a story out of anything. And I hope to actually, do our cool live streams again once our copyright strike is cleared. But we'll see what happens. I went to copyright school. I understand how this works. All right. Anyway, guys, it's been fun hanging out. Thank you to anybody who was here listening, chilling and wasting some time with me tonight. I will be back next week. This is not typical for me to do a week one. Nice. Tatsunami is there. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them. I don't know who's in here. I don't know who some of these are. Sumo Stew's in here. Sumo Paris. Big fan of Taki Keisho. Everybody should go there. Some of these things I did not subscribe to. I don't know what they are. But most of them are sumo. Hasbro. Maybe I did Hasbro. I don't know. I got my friend into 2 copyright strikes. I could have fought it because we really did have fair use, but I don't want to. I don't feel like it. I'm so behind in Sumo Heyo videos. Full-time job is brutal, but at least I have a job. That's right. Never discount having a job. Hakaku quotes hate or great still coming up. Yep, week 2. The specialty of this one was the 42 Opinions origin story. See you later, JJ. Good luck on your show tonight if you're doing it. Hakaku hate or great would be awesome. We can do that. Bob says goodnight, JJ. JJ is very similar to my timeline, so it's nighttime for him. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out. It's been fun. I'll catch you next week. Definitely Tuesday and Wednesday live streams. We'll see after that. It's been fun. Have a good night.